It's Don here from the board. Thanks for coming along and checking out this video. Just wait for some traffic to go by. So, I've recently asked out to the community and the viewers to give me suggestions and feedback on stuff that you want to see next. And I got some feedback, and thanks to Banggood for actually having this in stock. I'm going to be looking at the GK66 mechanical keyboard today. Now, it's meant to be a USB-C dual mode split spacebar with hot swappable Gateron optical switches and with RGB. That's a very big mouthful. So let's have a look at the listing. Now, of course, as per usual with all of this kind of stuff, everything that I say here is 100% my opinion. I'm only being provided this sample and there's nothing else that they've actually asked me to say or do, except of course to give it an honest review. So the current price we're looking at this is a 80 US keyboard for a 60%. Now the one that's been sent to me I believe should be a red switch unit. Well, we can see it's fairly standard in terms of a 60% layout except for the bottom row where it's got a split spacebar, and then it's got this strangeness happening here in the corner where it looks like a 125 and then 11111. So we've also got a 1U right shift instead of the standard 275 or even a short 175, but I suppose that gives you a bit more options in regards to having that arrow cluster there. The other features of course is detachable cable because it's meant to be I think Bluetooth, yes, so Bluetooth. So there's obviously some other people who've done some reviews on it, and we're looking at dual mode, so detachable cable, Bluetooth. I've never actually played with an optical switch keyboard before, so this will be the first time, and it runs off, I believe, that same 6 Plus engine that I had before when I was looking at the GK68 keyboard that I looked at. So we got a couple of standard kind of images here in regards to what the items are. I do have my switch puller, so we can pull that and have a look, configurable lighting and stuff like that, and we'll I guess play with some of these, see what kind of stuff is actually in the keyboard box and stuff like that. Not sure about pairing, but we'll have a quick play with that as well. So let's switch back over to the desktop. Alright, so here's the packet. It is not opened, but it's got my address on this side. So I'm going to cut it open and try to reduce the likelihood of people having my address. Not that it really matters these days, probably, but you never know. Okay. Alright. So this is how the local vendor, who must have obviously had it in stock, actually packaged it. There was nothing else. It's just a bit of plastic bag and this. So I'm going to say at least this time it wasn't too badly crushed. Bit of impact damage that you can see in the box there. Very plain outside packaging. Good kind of weight to it. We can see it's red switch made in China. There's the SKU. Let's get right into the guts of it. Alright, so there's practically no protection here whatsoever. There's no foam sheet or foam layer. The puncture didn't make it through the top of the actual box, so that's something at least. We have a fold-out manual in a couple of different languages. So it's well, when I say a couple, it looks like it's just Chinese and English. Okay, so that looks like for the most part the same as what is on the actual website. Now I've got my phone here because I want to be able to pair the Bluetooth to that at some point. Let's see what's in the box. So clear plastic baggie. Looks like there's a cable section here, so we can. There's some. Ooh, I did not expect that at all. So there's some alternative keycaps for, I guess, the bottom row. And we've got a couple of different optical switches. That's pretty cool. So yeah, okay. So we've got some 1U option. Oh, it's for Mac layout then. Okay, right. Because you can swap Mac layout. So command and the options are for Mac, and then also to fix up the bottom row. But we've got some different, there's some red and blues, so that's the clicky. It sounds like it's a click bar type of construction. Now if I have a look, these are LC switches. See if the camera will focus. There we go. So LC, it's a MX type stem with an external housing to, I suppose, reduce wobble, although there's still a reasonable amount of wobble there. The bottom of these you'll see is very different to sort of a standard switch because there's no pins, and all it is that when that middle stem comes through, that is going to break the optical pathway and cause the PCB to go, hey look, a switch has been depressed. Now it is using a click bar because I can see the click bar, I can hear the click bar. Let's get that focus back happening again. Yo, there we go. So there's that click bar at the bottom, and you'll see it's clicking and moving right there. So this is the red switch, which is just straight up linear. Nothing, it's quite smooth, all things considering. There's no leaf mechanism or anything like that in it to get involved. And it does have the box switch type of clip housings, not the cherry style sort of two prongs separated housing. Alright, so let's just put that back in to the bag. So it's good to know that if you are actually going to be using a Mac, then they have thought of you and provided the conversion kit in here. What else have we got? And then we've got the USB-C cable. Neat. We've got a switch puller, and we've got a cheap keycap puller. Now, you could probably use the switch puller to pull keycaps. It's just that because of the metal, if you're using expensive keycaps, you probably want to be careful because you can scratch your keycaps pretty easily with that. Alright, well let's just keep that out for the moment. I'll leave those in there so we don't lose them. Okay, and it does not look like anything else is in the box. Right, Sky Long. I thought this was a GK product. Is that who GK is? Skylong? Okay, interesting. Well, it's Skylong GK66. Very simple in the back. 5 volt, 380 milliamp. Okay. I don't know how that compares against the other batteries. I suppose I could look up the AN Pro and see how many milliamps is in that. Milliamp. Actually, it's interesting because I would have thought that would have been milliamp hours. Right. First impressions. It's very plasticky. It's plastic, sort of 60% standard case. There's no flip out feet at all. How's the camera doing? Camera's struggling with it. Can we read baseline? Focus on that. There we go. Okay. So the bottom of the case has no flip out feet. It's just straight plastic. It's very light. If I do the flex test, there's a little bit of flex. I can actually hear stuff kind of creaking a little bit. That's settled in. It's got an alright weight to it. I don't have my scales out, but I wouldn't say it's super heavy. I think the weight is just because of the fact that there is going to be a battery involved in this for the Bluetooth mode. What is really interesting, I just noticed, is it's got flip space bars, and there's GK switch. Check it out. If I tilt it, that was stock out of the box. I don't know, like, it's intentional because the pictures on the actual listing show the flip spacebar. That's really cool. I've never actually seen a OEM produce, so far at least, something that's designed with flip spacebar. Now I'm going to check out the stabilizers because I'm assuming these will have stabilizers. Yep. Okay. So this has Gateron optical here, but in the box were LC optical switches. So confused. Why those LCs and these are Gaterons when the listing is Gaterons? So why were these ones not Gateron spares? Huh. These are definitely lubed, and there's excess lube on the actual keycaps. They're pretty thin. They're pretty stock standard, almost gamer type, you know, that black coated clear plastic stuff for the light shine through. The stabilizers are definitely lubed, heavily lubed, excessively lubed. Oof. Okay, so if we try and get the focus going, there we go. You can see there's a lot of stuff happening on the stabilizer wires there. Now that's nice, and you can also see the Gateron logo there. It's nice, I guess, in the context of that it's factory lubed and it's going to be more silent and dampened, but it's pretty excessive. It's pretty excessive. Now these are plate mount stabilizers as well. Yep, just as much lube. Interestingly, while I've been told that there is a microphone or likely to be a microphone here, there's no direct visible microphone here so far. Okay, now I'm not going to go and unscrew this and pull it out. I don't think it's absolutely necessary. So let's just put that back. Now feeling these Gaterons, they're so smooth. Unbelievably smooth. Wow. That's really incredible. Now it could be because of the fact that there's no leaf involved. I don't know if they're factory lubed or anything of that nature, but let's pop one out. Okay, so I've never actually. So this is once again a different switch compared to that LC, because look at that. The actual bottom is structured differently. So the bottom's structured differently. It's actually enclosed, but the light path is still there. That gets disrupted when the switch cuts through there. And this one has housings like the cherry type, which is the two side prongs without that middle connected piece like the LC has. So that's really, really interesting. Now this also has a magnified LED section there at the top. So any of the lighting effects is going to be projected better through that. So that's pretty cool. Now if I hold up to the microphone, that's just the stem actually contacting the housing on the upstroke. Now if I flick it, you can actually hear a bit of that spring pinging there as well. If we have a look at the actual PCB itself on what the optical socket looks like, it's quite bright. There we go. So R60 PT60, and that says space/function2 K/6, and I'm assuming the sensor is going to be happening underneath, or no? Okay, so it's actually what those two white things are at the top that it's probably not really showing you very well because the lighting is so intense and bright. I'm just going to cycle this. Will that change it? Let me reduce the intensity. Okay. Alright, so that those two little white rectangles, that black section, that clear section, I believe is the actual optical sensor. So one side's going to be providing the light, and one side's going to be trying to read the light if the signal's been broken. So that's pretty cool. I've never actually seen that before. Alright, so let's bring some light back. Just change the mode again. There we go. Oh, my bad. Just bump the microphone. Alright. So let's put this back in. Now the correct orientation is because the light is going to be on that side. And snap. Pretty straightforward. And flip spacebar orientation. Okay. Wow. So let us have a quick look on how we actually boot this sucker. How do I go into actually connecting it? I don't know. Alright, let's just plug it in first. That will potentially help. I hope. Okay. So there's the C. And there's my alright, so that's on. If I turn the lighting off, there we go. What is it telling me with the X flashing? The X has a Bluetooth 2 on it, so it looks like it's on Bluetooth 2. So function Z and function X is what it tries to pair with, and you can have 3 pairing channels. So from what I can tell from here is you've got 1, 2 and 3 that it'll actually pair with, and then function tab will open lock the keyboard, and there's a battery status charging indicator, which it's that one there. Okay, so it's kind of like green orangey at the moment. I wonder if that will actually change as the power changes, which is really interesting. That 6 plus symbol is just doing its own little breathing cycling mode. So long press keycaps, LED flashes, red and green equipment is pairing, and then short press is to connect or disconnect to whatever number 1 is. Alright. I am going to unlock my phone, and then let's turn on Bluetooth. Alright, so the Bluetooth is now on. You can't really see what it's doing, can you? Because it's, there we go. So you'll see it's trying to connect to the AND Pro. Well, the AND Pro is recognized, so let's try function Z, long press. Or is it's trying to do, is that the function? That must be the function. How long is a long press? Let's try that. Okay. Oh, it's trying to find. Okay, scanning. ITON Bluetooth HID adapter. It's trying to pair, and it's paired, connected as an input device. Okay, so you wouldn't have seen that, but if I hold it up now, there you go. So that's what it comes up to as the ITON Bluetooth HID adapter connected as input device. So now I'm paired onto channel 1. Let's give it a bit of light so we can bring the focus down. Maybe. Hello. Okay, so now, okay, so that's really interesting because my phone is now asking me unlock less with smart lock, and then I can select the keyboard type. So we're just going to set it as default. And it's going to be English. Okay. Right, and then let's add that as a trusted device at the moment. Or maybe not. Let's not do that, because I don't want someone potentially having one of these accessing my keyboard if they've got it nearby. Alright, so now let us go and open a memo. A new memo. Okay. Oh, crap. I keep bumping the microphone. Alright, so there's the memo, and there we go. So it works. So it's interesting because it works when it's plugged in USB, as well as the fact that it's paired directly to my device. This is the GK66 typing on my phone, on MIT phone. Okay, so that was actually really quite easy, relatively effortless. That was a lot better compared to, I think, trying to pair the AM Pro initially. The instructions for this was a lot easier to sort of deal with. Okay, so now we know that the Bluetooth is good. Let's just turn off my Bluetooth on the phone, put my phone away, put it back into its case. Okay, and let us bring up a good old trusty switch header. Okay, so on to the right hand. Alright, switch header. Oh, interesting. It will not type on USB-C because I'm paired to the keyboard. So let's disconnect. Let's go back to the switch header. And now it works. Wow. Okay, so you can't actually operate simultaneously, which is kind of interesting. Not that it's unexpected in most contexts. I would say that it's all right to actually not have that. So on the right hand side, we've actually got a function key. We've got a menu key and no control. So if you're used to using control on your right hand side, you might have to program that as a macro. And then if we use the menu, no, it's a function. Okay, so yeah, the G6 plus key will drive your functions. Not too bad, not too bad. Okay, so while we've got this happening here on this side, let's go up to the engine. Huh. Okay, so let's close that because it obviously doesn't detect the keyboard. GK plus driver. No keyboard. It doesn't recognize the keyboard. Let's just unplug it and plug it back in. Really interesting. Okay, so the reason why I say that is because this is the same software package from the other keyboard. Now, I know that there is actually a link on the Banggood listing for the driver, which is this. Yeah, interesting. So let's download that and have a look at what is going on, because that says that the version for that installer is 5103, which is the same as what I've already got, 5103. So I don't know what's going on. I honestly don't know why it's not recognizing it. Huh. That's a little bit disappointing. Very, very strange. Let's have a look at the manual. The manual is literally the same as what is here next to me. So that's actually really, really bizarre. Why does the driver not work? Let's try that app again. It says no device. Well, I think that's a bit of a weird one, isn't it? That is extremely weird that this 513 does not seem to connect with this keyboard. Does not seem to connect with this keyboard. Now I'm going to have a quick squiz at this video off the screen and see. Okay, so they were able to make it work. Alright, let's go for a secondary download and try. Maybe it's a different version, but it's just labeled the same version. Maybe. Of course, now Google Drive doesn't want to, there we go. Spoke too soon. Okay, trying to look around my microphone. Yes, let's replace it. Let's install it. It looks exactly the same. Waiting for it to do its thing. Alrighty. It's good that at least it does work natively without having any fancier installs. Launch. No device. Okay, so once again, no device. Alright, let's go back across. There it is. I wonder if I need to boot it into any particular modes. Switching. Backlight mode. Bluetooth mode. DIY user mode. Layer function. Yeah, so bizarre. So bizarre. It does not mention anything of the sort. So for whatever reason, I am not detecting this keyboard at all. Well, your experiences may vary. My experience right now is this keyboard don't want to connect to the fancy software. Alright, but you know what, that's okay. It still works. It does have onboard lighting and profiles, supposedly. So let's have a play with that. So function and the bracketies should change the mode. There we go. So that's actually cycling between different modes, but it's also showing different color profiles too, by the looks of it. Then I should be able to make backlighting on or off. And there's some more modes as well. How do I do that? There we go. So it's pretty bright, and it does work perfectly well, perfectly fine. At risk of blinding people, I'm going to take, whoops, there we go, that's a light pulsing away. Now because these are hot swappables, whoosh, there we go. So I can take that off, and you can see exactly how shimmery and glowing that is, which is extremely bright and kind of potentially damaging. Trying not to press the switch. Okay, so that's hitting B, which is cycling my recording software. There you have it. So that is that alt light here is actually constantly on, because why is that? That's pulsing, but it's not. Yeah, so that one's constantly on to show you the actual battery power. So I would expect that as that drains down, then that will probably turn red. Now, of course, I'm connected and it's gone. But if I do that, there we go. So it's trying to find my phone, but it's telling me that I actually don't have a lot of battery right now. So that's actually really smart. I quite like that. That's quite clever. Okay, there's obviously a whole bunch of other fancy lighting features and things like that. You know. So it's stopped trying to pair, and it's still telling me that I'm nearly out of power. At what point will that turn itself off? I don't know. We'll just let that run. So as you can see, you've got backlight functions, Bluetooth connections, media keys, key switching, function layer. You can program your own stuff in regards to function layers, switching to Mac mode, and then if you want some additional features, which they talk about driving through the software, but I can't get that to work. Rightio, so some final thoughts, I guess, on this. Before I sort of move the microphone down for a typing. No, let's do that first, and then we'll do final thoughts, as it would make perfect sense to do that way. So let's get the microphone down. GK66. So that actually felt really, really amazing. The response on these Gateron optical switches, the linearity of them was incredible. They're very, very smooth. The lightweightness of them and the tappy sounds, I think, are quite satisfying. While, because they are linear, you're not going to get that sort of tactile response on them. They actually have a really lovely sound to my ears, almost like the bottom out on these sound really good. It's probably the best way of describing it, because compared to say like a box Jade or something like that, or a box White, they're not as sharp, but they've got quite a lovely sort of profile to that sound. I'm not sure if it's because this might have a nicer plate material. It's still trying to pair because obviously I've been typing on it. It actually is probably a metal plate. So it looks like it's coated, but it's quite thick, and yeah, I think it's an aluminium plate. Okay, so that's, yeah, so it's got a good amount of heft to it. It feels pretty good. It sounds pretty good. I would suspect that you might even get some better sound out of it if you swapped it over to a thicker keycaps, for example, would probably be a good one to go via, and you'll get a much more resonant sound to it. Although the only thing that's going to bug me now is there's no off switch on this. So if you're the type of person that's going to take a keyboard to a workplace and use it on Bluetooth, for example, and you put it in your bag, this is going to be constantly sapping battery power as you're depressing switches. Whereas if it had an actual switch that you could turn off and to conserve power, or switch it to, like wired mode, for example, then that might actually be much better for it. Now, I'm going to disconnect the cable here. I'm just going to plug that in, and it's still going, right? It's still telling me, and it's still lighting up. So it doesn't have anything, and we kind of saw it before when it was plugged in to the actual USB, that when it's in Bluetooth mode, well, it's in Bluetooth mode. How long is that going to do that for? I don't know. Before it decides to say, yeah, I'm actually just going to go to sleep, because once again, I don't think the manual says anything of that nature. Alright, so final thoughts. $80, it's not bad. Connects Bluetooth very quickly, very easily. Color profiles, fairly standard. Keycaps, thin, light. Keyboard overall is actually quite light. Mostly rigid. You can sort of flex it a bit, but it's sturdy enough. It does sound really nice, and the linears on these Gateron optical red switches are very smooth. They're a lot smoother than I actually thought that they were going to be. And you could actually open these up. You could take out one of these switches, open it up with a switch opener, and you could lube them if they're not already factory lubed. Now I realize this is already a 40-minute video, but anybody who's actually ever watched anything on my channel, if this is the first time and you're actually still here 40 minutes later and you're going, man, this guy's videos are way too long, well, you know what? That's reality. That's how my videos go. Because I like to talk and have a look at stuff in perhaps a little bit more depth than what other people might want to do. Okay, so I've just used a switch opener and taken that apart. I want to see if these are factory lubed. And they are not factory lubed. So these guys are come on. You can do this. There we go. These are not factory lubed at all. And you'll notice the stems are very different, right? Because there's no leg bits, because there's no leaf that you have to interact with. So as far as it goes, like, these are super smooth. And if you actually put some lube into these, they're going to be even smoother. I mean, super duper. And you could speed lube these. What I'm talking about with speed lube is rather than having to open each switch one by one, all you do is you depress the switch with something so that you've got a bit of space, and then you just put a bit of lube down the side in the channel, and then just rack the switch up and down, and it'll just get into that railing and lube itself. So yeah, awesome. I am actually super pleasantly surprised at how good this keyboard is. Now, I use a split space bar in my own personal design, so the split space bar here doesn't bother me whatsoever, and I like the fact that it comes with default flipped profile on the split space bar, as well as this function key. So, you know what? I'm going to give this a big tick. Didn't know what to expect. I'm coming away very, very pleasantly surprised, to the point where if the software for this was actually working, this could top out an AM Pro. This really could top out an AM Pro. Yeah. I'm going to say it's definitely a very strong contender, and of course that could be a little bit controversial, but if you're looking to get one or the other, you would not be amiss to give this a look and try as well. Rightio. Well, I want to say again, thank you very much to Banggood for actually sending this to me and letting me check it out, because I'm you can call me a convert really at this point in time. Yeah, blown away, absolutely blown away. Whew. All right, I want to say thank you to all of you who are actually still here after 42.5 minutes. And I want to say thank you to all the people who actually gave me suggestions and asked for me to actually try and get hold of this keyboard to review, because now, you know, compared to the GK68, where I was a little bit miffed about the microphone, I haven't seen a microphone here yet, so if there is one and it's under the plate, it's not going to work anywhere as well as if it's just sitting there where the spacebar is. So no microphone visible, at least, gives me a better peace of mind. Keep those suggestions rolling, because if you have anything in particular you want to see, I will let them know, and if they've got it in stock and they want to send it to me for review, then it means you get to benefit from me checking it out as well. Don't forget, we have a podcast series that supports this called the Board Podcast as well. And of course, if you like this kind of stuff, if you want to see more reviews on keyboards, mechanical keyboard related things, DIY stuff, artisans making, and other bits and pieces that are related to the keyboard world, please hit that like button, please hit that share button, and of course, please subscribe to this channel. Make sure you do hit that bell icon to get notifications of whenever we have new content. So that's it, made it to the end, and gonna sign off now as per usual. Until next time, happy clacking. Hey, so I'm actually back with this, shall I say, errata in regards to this GK keyboard. So you would have seen, if you've actually watched everything up to now, that I lamented about that there was no power switch. And what was really interesting, I was looking around, kicking around on some other sites that sold this particular keyboard under different deals, and other people made a very similar complaint. However, it would seem like I am a bit of a dumbass, because my wife had a look at this and straight away she found the power switch. So I said that there wasn't a physical power switch, and it's true. There is no physical power switch, but instead it's a kind of soft switch. So I've just got it plugged in right now, and it's charging, because you can see the actual green light that's happening here on the Alt key as before. But my wife just took one look at it and straight away she recognized the power symbol. But for me, for whatever reason, it didn't really trigger that you would have a soft touch combo key. So what I mean by that is on the actual tab, if the camera is going to give me a focus on it, there we go. So on the tab, there is that power button logo. I think what kind of threw me off was the fact that it had a circle around it, because most of the time when you see a power symbol, it doesn't have an encapsulating circle. So of course, I had a look at the manual again, and it's actually detailed in the manual. It's just that I didn't spot it, because the way that it's described in the manual is that it says long press for 3 seconds, so function and tab, to open or lock the keyboard. And to me, mentally, under the Bluetooth key functions, opening and locking is not powering on and powering off. So I just want to show you that by holding the function key, which is this GK66 button here, and pressing that tab 3 seconds, it's off. So no matter what I'm doing here, it's not actually lighting up. So you could put this in your bag and you're not going to have any issues with it whatsoever. But then now if I want to actually turn it on, got to my destination, pull it out, and I want to go into Bluetooth mode, then I can 3 seconds it, and now the keyboard is on, and you know, is doing its RGB thing. And of course the alt is flashing because it's still low battery, because I didn't really charge it for very long. So now that we've actually identified that, that certainly changes my perspective a lot more for the positive, in that this keyboard is quite good for what you're paying and its function. The only thing is, it is quite light compared to, say, the AM Pro, and I suspect that's probably because the battery power in this is not as good. So if you give it a full charge, you do turn it off, and you're very careful with turning it off when you transport it, and you turn off the actual lighting, then you'd probably get a decent use out of it. But the only negative that still remains is, no matter what I've tried, I still cannot get it connected to the GK6 Plus software driver on my computer to actually play with the RGB itself. It's not a deal breaker for me, because RGB lighting is not, you know, my kit. But if that's really important to you, to be able to program those different features for the RGB, then that may be a deal breaker for you. But that said, you might actually be able to get that to work. So who knows? So there you go. Function, tab, 3 seconds, and it will turn off the keyboard. Fantastic. Now I want to say, of course, thanks for checking out this bit and being able to get a bit more of a revised update on this. Now if you are interested in checking out this keyboard, I now actually have some links below, as well as Banggood's current promo, which is for November. However, I want to piggyback on that as well, because it is actually the 1st of November today, and that means Movember. So I am once again growing out my mustache in support for men's health. This is my 7th year in a row doing this. I will have a link below as well if you want to contribute towards my Movember campaign. If you follow us on Instagram, you would have seen something that I've put up there the other day talking about giveaways. So please do check back on the channel and keep your eye out on that, because hopefully I'll be able to offer that as a giveaway shortly as well. So thank you very much for checking out this little bit extra addendum errata to the video on this GK6 Plus keyboard. And of course, as usual, happy clacking.